So hello everyone, welcome to the new day and new vlog. I hope you have watched previous videos and enjoyed it. If not, then you can go and watch that video. You can see the train has arrived and I also arrived at my university station UAB Barcelona. So yesterday was the very first day of my class, or you can say of my lecture at School of Engineering for the subjects that I chose. And if I talk about today's day, in today also there are two classes, you can say the very first classes that I will be attending, because I kind of, if give you an idea, then I have three subjects. So yesterday was the first class of the very first subject, and now today for the other two subjects there is the very first lecture where I think we'll get the overview or the idea about it. For some people who do not know, I came to Barcelona for my Erasmus exchange program, very first time in Spain, in Barcelona, and now is the time to go or start with the lecture part here. So as train departs, I'll also depart towards university campus. So I'll use my T-Mobility card, I think, to exit first of all. Although in one of the videos I've talked about this T-Mobility card, how I got that, so I'll try to put that video's link in the description so you can watch that as well. And now you can see I'm going towards the campus. This area is called Plaza Civica. Here I also came for some of the events, you can say, organized by UAB, our university. Here is one of the cafeterias. And if you're wondering where I'm going towards my faculty building, the School of Engineering, which is some minutes away from this point. You can see right from this area. Also, some people talked, or I've heard that there is some kind of strike today. So let's see if our classes happens, but I think it really depends on your faculty. Like some people were talking about this in group as well, that classes might not happen, but let's see that. So here you can see that is one of the libraries which is there in the campus. Although when we had the tour, then we were shown these various buildings which are there, so you can watch that video as well about our UAB campus tour. And I can notice there are comparatively less people today. I think maybe because of the strike, or they don't have the classes, but let's see what happens with Faculty of Engineering. And here you can see it's quite a green area here and there. I also came for the Human Tower event. Now you can see as I walk by, there is one of the bus stops which is there, and I'm close to my faculty building which is right on that side. So that is the SF building which is there. I think they have the gym on that as well, and the building which I'm talking about, the Faculty of Engineering, is right there. You can see the glimpse now. Although if I tell you one thing, then I have not received, or we have not received, any official notification regarding any cancellation of the classes. But I think this is the strike by or protest by the students organization as well. So let's see what happens. This you can notice there is one cafeteria there as well. And now you can see I took another route to enter my faculty building, and I'm almost here. I'll show you. So from that end I came towards this side. You can see this hall which you can notice now. But I have to go to third floor because in Seminar F I have my classes. You can say lift is already there. You press 3 and now we'll go towards the third floor. So yesterday only I discovered that, and I think all our lectures which I have enrolled will be in Seminar F. So it's a kind of seminar room with projector. Maybe someday I'll try to show you that as well. Let's attend the class. It's almost 2:45 and I'm right here. I have to go towards that side. And here in the board you can also see School of Engineering is written, and I'm going towards the seminar room. So specifically the seminar room F. So this is it, you can notice here. So let's see if the class happens, and if it happens then we'll share the insights and the information part as well. But first I need to attend. So now if I tell you the classes are over, the two classes that I had, if I talk about the time, then it is almost 5:43 now. So this class finished early. It should have been till 7 o'clock, but I think today was the introductory lecture. I'll talk about this experience once I'll go out of this building. So this is the corridor from where I'm going out. And as I walk, you can see these various tents which are there. There is a van as well there on top of this chess board, and all these various stalls, and some of the stages there as well. So now I'm at Plaza Civica, and I think now is the good time to talk about the experience part of today's lecture. So there were two lectures. So one of them was scheduled from 3 to 5, and another one was from 5 to 7. So you can see the very first lecture was kind of related to green engineering, sustainability, and in that there were like the presentation of the overview, like what will be covered in the topic, what will be the assessment procedure. So the professor who was there, she initially asked all of us to introduce ourselves, like telling the background and what we do, from where we come from. And then after that there were like, how much do you know about the subject? So there were some discussions or quizzes which were there in class. So like some portal which were there, some websites which were there, also through virtual campus. Maybe we have to log in and we have to answer those questions. So that was quite interesting, because the professor wanted to know how much background we have of this particular subject. And one of the points that she also mentioned during the slides while giving the overview was that sometimes a lecture can be finished early, maybe 20 minutes before, so that you have some time for the break to attend the next lecture, because they are in line, these 2 hours lecture. And another point was that today it got finished, you can say early, around by 4:30, and the next lecture was started at 5 o'clock. So we had half an hour time, so we went to one of the cafeterias. We met some people who are there in the class. Although if I talk about the attendance, if you have not watched yesterday's video, you can go and watch that. I've talked about yesterday's experience as well. Today there were around 8 or 9 people in the class, so you get to know them well, and also you can talk to them. So in the break when I got to know the people who are maybe from here or from different nationalities. We talked, went to the cafeterias, got some coffee, and then the next lecture started right at 5 o'clock. And the professor, first of all, he again asked us to introduce ourselves, our background. There were some new people maybe who came to that lecture, and also we had to tell where we see ourselves, what are our goals, interests. So it was like get to know the people. And also the assessment strategy was discussed. For example, if I give you an idea, maybe I'll talk about that in a separate video, but for example, maybe how much percentage of weightage will be project. So we have to make a project in group, maybe we have some activities or exercises which we have to submit individually. So all these aspects, they had the slides and they discussed about all these points, how much weightage it will carry. Maybe the final exam is of 30 marks, so the pattern is different. You get to know the pattern, how they will evaluate, what criteria would be there. So all these things were discussed at that point. And then in today's lecture, it was more of like, you can say, introduction. So he introduced us to the workflow, how this lecture works, engineering innovation, and and what steps would be there. Like we were asked to make a team. So in today's lecture, we made a team of 4 people. Like he said, one team can be of 4 people, another can be of 3 people. So today we were asked that, okay, you can talk with people, you can ask who wants to be in your team and what team name you will keep, because especially for this subject, that was the later one, there we have to work, I think, in a group project as well, that we have to submit, and it has also some weightage for our assessment or for our marks, you can say. So that is quite different. And one more point, I think the grading scale is also different here than Germany, what we used to have. So that's why it is just an overview, but I think once I'll also get more information about it, I'll also try to cover the grading scale point, or how the assessment criteria is there in this university for my subjects, which is UAB Barcelona, the university name. And I'll also reveal the subject names, what are those. Right now I've attended the initial or the first lectures, you can say, of these classes, and getting to know, getting to get an idea regarding what will be there, what criteria will be there, what will be taught, so that you can have enough time if you want to pick some other subject, or if you want to decide, okay, do you want to do this subject, or is it in your field of interest, the concepts or the topics which are covered under that subject. So that was interesting. And like I said, the lecture finished early because the last point was that, okay, he discussed the workflow, and after that, now you decide on team, and then later, maybe on Monday, on some other day when the lecture will happen, then you have to tell him about the team, and then our group project will start. Although what will happen in those activities, I'll try to cover them when they will happen, but I hope through today's vlog you also got some idea about some of the information and some of the points. One more thing, the strike thing that I was telling, the professor also said that there were some strikes. I think some different faculties did not conduct classes, but for engineering there was classes. So although there was strike, I think comparatively there were less people, because some people were telling that even in cafeterias, or here you can see in Plaza Civica, there are not many people that used to be here, so some people did not come, but the classes of engineering faculty happened. So I think now I'll return to my home, because it's quite good time. And by thanking everyone, including the professors, I think I'll end this vlog now. Rest, like, comment, share, subscribe. It doesn't take much time. Bye bye, ciao ciao, namaste, chalo, adios. See you in new day, new vlog. Also, you can go to different playlists and watch videos according to your interest. Now you can also go to new launched playlists regarding Barcelona, regarding Spain, to watch videos accordingly. And one more thing, there is going to be an interesting vlog coming out tomorrow, because I'm going for the integration weekend. What is that? What is the cost? What will happen? We'll see that in upcoming vlogs as well. So stay tuned. Bye bye.